Well, you worked all week and you're ready to let go. Let me tell you, friend, believe me when I say I know. It always feels like we're punching in. Well, I'm glad you stopped by. The fun is about to begin. You paid good money at the door and get ready for a real good show. If you want to have a real good time with me tonight, you gotta move like crazy, dancing in the pale moonlight. We can all get down, spin inside out, I'm telling you. If you really want to groove, you gotta make a move.
2020. But the thing that I was thinking about was like, we talk about free will and stuff. And so as I woke up in the middle of the night one night and I'm thinking about this and I'm like, how can God know everything, but we don't know? And so like, I started thinking like, well, maybe life is like a Rubik's cube of like, you know, there's all these different possibilities of what could happen, and everybody has a yes/no decision to make, but he knows them all. Yeah. And so then I started, and I know you'll appreciate this, I started thinking like Doctor Strange, like at the end, he's like all the possibilities. Yeah. And so like, but then I think I was listening to some of your stuff, and you kind of had this, like, I was like, this is kind of like what I was thinking. And can you like kind of go into that a little bit? Like, it was like, you know, like, is there a multiverse?
Well, there could be, but I don't think there's an actual physical multiple universes. There's actually all these different physical space-time realities. But there is all these different possible futures, as Doctor Strange said in the Avengers movies, right? So possible futures don't have to actually exist. All that means is different ways things could be. Most theologians don't say possible futures. We say possible worlds. And philosophers say possible worlds. And that just simply means a way things could have been. So does a possible world exist in which I wore my white shirt today instead of this black shirt? Sure. I mean, there's nothing that seems impossible about that, right?
Right.
Is it possible that you start thinking of all these different possibilities? Is it possible that you and I, that you sat on this side of me and I sat on that side? There's nothing that it doesn't seem metaphysically impossible about. If that would have been different, what else would have been different? And you know, after a while, it's like, wow, you can't even contemplate everything. But it seems a maximally great being who's the perfect standard of knowledge, who has, you know, he's necessarily the perfect standard of knowledge, would know all these things.
Right.
And so then, like Doctor Strange, how Doctor Strange actualized a certain possible future. And how did he do that? By doing the unthinkable and giving Thanos the time stone. You know, and you're like, what? Why would you do that? Are you an idiot? Well, no, it's because he's extremely wise. He knew that if he gave Thanos the time stone, it would actualize a possible future, make it the actual reality in which the Avengers ultimately defeat the evil of Thanos, and everybody who was turned to dust would rise from the dead. And you know, and even Doctor Strange sacrificed his life in Infinity War, but he was raised from the dead in Endgame. But you see, Doctor Strange had the end game in mind. Right. And he knew what all these different possibilities, but he knew what would happen if he gave Thanos the time stone. And that would lead to the defeat of evil and the resurrection of the saints. You know, where did that come from? Right. And by the way, the guy, Scott Derrickson, is the guy that directed the first Doctor Strange movie and helped develop the Doctor Strange character. Well, guess where he went to school?
Where'd he go to school?
Biola University, the same place I went.
Man,
so check it out, man. I mean, Scott Derrickson had all my same professors, has a master's degree, I think, in theology and philosophy. And he gave Doctor Strange the power of middle knowledge, which is what this is about. Gave him the power of Molinism is what I'm going to call that. And so Doctor Strange, with God powers, was able to save the universe. But Doctor Strange didn't cause and determine Thanos' actions or Captain America's or Tony Stark. He just knew how they would freely choose in a situation in which he starts it off by giving Thanos the time stone. I think there's something similar going on. Now, this also, so it shows how Doctor Strange was sovereign over, he knew everything that was going to happen if he actualized that possibility, right? He knew what would happen. So therefore, over everything that actually happened, you can say that Doctor Strange was sovereign and provident over it. In fact, you could say that Doctor Strange predestined it to occur without causally determining it to occur. He never violated the freedom of the creatures. They were all free to do otherwise. He just knew they wouldn't do otherwise. He knew what would happen.
Hey, Riley here. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Make a Move podcast. For more content, check us out on all major social media platforms and makeamovepodcast.com. Until next time, get off your butt and make a move.